Rotate your phone.
You can't turn your phone on.
Rotate your phone. You can't turn your... Hey guys! So we just hopped on. This is our cooking show for Peak Body tonight. So we got Christy Gabbert, registered dietitian over at Peak Coeur d'Alene, and myself, Brian, fitness director. So tonight our goal is to share a whole bunch of recipes and how to actually cook this stuff. So we are upgrading all of our meals. We're doing desserts, we're doing coffee, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we're making it all in an easy, practical way. So we're going for nutritious, healthy foods. So
and real quick, sorry to cut you off. So people watching, how do we look normal? Are we tilted sideways? Can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up or let us know if we need to fix anything. Hi, Daisha. Let us know if we need to fix anything. If we're sideways, crooked, give us a thumbs up. Let us know. Can you hear us? We'll see. We're just gonna keep going until we see any comments otherwise. So.
Yeah, just send us a quick little message, making sure that our screen's upright the way it's supposed to be and you can hear us. Yeah, before we start diving into this.
Sideways on my phone.
So it's sideways?
Sideways.
So we should rotate it? Is that right?
Yeah. Okay, we'll see if we can rotate.
Do you want me to rotate it?
Bree, can you see us? Are we sideways to you? Sorry guys, the fun part of being live. Okay, I think we're just gonna roll with this as long as we're not upside down. We're good. Okay, you can see us, we're good? Okay, I think by sideways they mean that's good.
Okay, perfect.
Thumbs up? Okay, all right.
Okay, yeah, so we have a lot of fun stuff to do. Part of it is going through each step of our different recipes. Some of it is a longer production, and so with those meals, we've actually finished it. But then we're also going to take you through step by step of how to cook it. So I think the biggest thing pondering tonight, what we want to communicate to everybody is it's not just the food that you make for yourself or the food that you make for your family. It's about the whole experience. So when your family sits down to eat a meal and you're in the kitchen, really frustrated from the day, upset, maybe in an argument with a family member, I think that affects the whole experience with your meal. So if you're gonna put the time into cooking a meal, right, it takes time. You want the people to have a great experience with it. So that's where I think putting love and intentional love and wanting to bless the people that you're making it for is critical. So I just always think of like attitude of gratitude, you know, just grateful for the food, grateful for the opportunity to eat this place, the house, etc. Especially at Christy's house, this kitchen's awesome. So perfect place to make good food. But definitely putting that intention in it is really important. So that's the biggest thing. And I'm gonna start with the pecans. It's kind of a fun one. So when you first look at eating healthy, there's different levels of eating healthy. There's like, oh, raw almonds are fantastic. But then you get into the nutrition and what's actually happening internally in your body, and you find all these plants and nuts and seeds have these protective enzymes, these protective characteristics that keep them from germinating too quickly. And what happens is they end up in our body binding to different minerals so we don't absorb all those minerals. And then they're also inflammatory in our gut. You know, they get down to that large intestine and then you have an inflammatory problem. This is just from eating raw almonds, which generally we think of fantastic. It's great for us. So that's our goal today, is just upgrade our knowledge and have our bodies, the outcome be a lot healthier with just easy things you can do. So with pecans, let me grab them out of my bag here. I think I have a pecan.
You did.
See that? Okay, thank you. So this is just a bag of raw pecans from Costco. Costco's got some good products. And I also want to give a shout out to Pilgrims. Just a local, good market, good food. I went there last night and grabbed a bunch of stuff. And I was really surprised looking at their meats, because all their meats is high quality. You can go there and be assured that the cows are out there on the pasture, they're eating good stuff, but their prices with meat are actually really good for the quality you're getting. So just a quick shout out to those guys, good local company that gives good food. So you got your bag of pecans. So what happens is if you eat these raw, again, you got, it's gonna bind to minerals, you're not gonna absorb as much out of it, and it's going to irritate your gut potentially. So when I think of a pecan, I think of just kind of bland, kind of mushy, not really exciting to me. But after we go through the process of basically soaking them in salt water and then, quote, sprouting them, they don't actually sprout, but it takes out those inhibitory enzymes, those phytates that cause the problems. It neutralizes those, and then it allows new enzymes to be created, and now you're gonna absorb like 4 times the nutrition that you normally would have been losing. So it turns them into real nutrient powerhouses. And I chose pecans because they are the best. I think they're really not exciting raw, but once you go through this process, they are the best out of all the different nuts. I've done walnuts and almonds, etc. So let's open these up. I'll show you how to do it. Let me get a knife somewhere around here. Okay, open your bag, and then we need a big bowl. Christy, do we have a big bowl? I just assumed that Christy would have a big bowl here. So you get a big monster bowl. So this is 32 ounces, so 2 pounds of pecans. Big bowl, pour them in, and then you just put some warm water over them. Follow me here. So I'm just getting enough water just to cover them. And do you have pink Himalayan salt?
Right here. Himalayan sea salt. How much, Brian?
How do you turn this off? Okay.
Magic.
Okay, so I need 2 tablespoons of pink Himalayan salt. So we're gonna go through some specifics tonight so you guys can be really intelligent with your food. Yeah, 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. So you can kind of see all those pecans in there. It's covered with water. Kind of mix it around. Our hands are clean. Wash your hands before you cook. So that's gonna soak for 7 hours. So put the nuts in there, cover it with water, mix the salt in there, 2 tablespoons, 7 hours. Walnuts, pecans, Brazil nuts, they're kind of a softer nut, so they don't need quite as long to soak as like almonds or hazelnuts. Those are harder. Those are gonna require more like 8 hours, so just an additional hour. So give or take, it really doesn't matter too much. So once we're done soaking those, then, so I usually do it before I go to bed, wake up in the morning, like, okay, drain those. So then we take it to, we got our little drainer here. So we're pretending it's been 7 hours, wake up in the morning, dump this in here. And I don't really rinse it off too much because I like a little bit of that pink Himalayan salt, add some flavor. And pink Himalayan salt is great. It's great because it's pink, and it's pink because there's lots of trace minerals in it, iron in it, really beneficial. So I think that's a big upgrade compared to normal salt because you're getting all those trace minerals, which most of our food is so processed we're deficient in it. So then we have our food dryer here. So what I did is, this is what it looks like. So I just dump these on here, row after row, just throw them on there. And these ones are already done. So we throw them on there. And food dryers are really so simple to do. when I first thought about this, I was intimidated, but yeah, you have a comment?
No, I was gonna say, even some of the newer stoves, like my stove has a dehydrating feature, my air fryer has a dehydrating feature. So anytime you can get that low heat for a long amount of time dehydrating, that's gonna help make sure not to kill off anything that you've just created.
Those
So,
enzymes, yeah,
those
at about
enzymes.
150 degrees, you'll kill them off. So the cooking temperature should be 110 to 150. And I usually go like 145. It's just faster. So you're gonna dehydrate these for 12 hours generally. And again, I just have, it's a little push button thing here, timer, start, and then the temperature. So simple, right? I don't keep this on my countertop either. This is like one for the garage or the storage unit. And then when you pull them out to create them, make them, then bring it out. So 110 degrees, it's gonna take longer. 150 degrees, it'll be faster. Basically, if you don't do that, there's too much moisture and it'll eventually mold, you know, so this dries them up. And really these things are, oh, those aren't the good ones.
Yeah.
These things are so good. You got to control yourself. So about a quarter cup would be about 200 calories, good fats. And as we talked about in our first video, the fats are good. You know, you just have to look at your calories, and the fats, there's no insulin response. So you can eat a good amount of fat with no problem, as long as you stay within your calorie range, right? It's the carbohydrates increase the insulin response. That's where you're gonna be more likely to store body fat from those. So good fats are great. And Christy is, what is, let's find out what Christy's doing here.
So a lot of times, again, just upgrading things. So Brian made these awesome pecans. I think he's gonna throw some cacao in there and a little stevia, make a sweet treat, kind of like a dessert. But also I wanted to use those pecans on my salad. So if you need to be inspired a little bit, add a little bit more flavor, a little bit more nutrition just to your basic salad. An easy way to do that, and one of my favorite things, is just adding all this yummy stuff. So I just have my spinach, or you could use the power greens. I like, just think the dark leafy vegetables. Sometimes that kale in this is a little bit too fibrous for me, or just like, I don't like the taste as well unless it's like a baby kale. So, but the power greens mix I like, spinach I like. And so for this salad, I have some berries, so strawberries and blueberries. We're gonna put the pecans on there, some chicken, and then I'm gonna show you the secret ingredient, which is a Tessemae honey poppy seed dressing that I really like, that just kind of ties it all together. So I'm gonna pull some stuff out of the fridge, doctor that up, and show you that end presentation here. So Brian's gonna go back to dessert, and I'm gonna make this.
Okay, check this out. So this is also from Costco, organic raw cacao powder. So chocolate is amazing, one of the most highest antioxidant foods in the world, super high in magnesium also. And the problem with chocolate is when you add too much sugar to it, then it becomes a problem. So stevia to the rescue. So I don't know, I don't like to do too much of anything that's not just a normal way of eating. So even with stevia, I don't go too crazy, but it can add a lot of sweetness. It's 200 times sweeter than sugar. It's just from a plant, and there's no insulin response to it. So if you are trying to do a little more lower carbohydrate, keep your insulin down, it's great. So what I do is I just threw a bunch of these pecans into a baggie, and then I'm just gonna throw a couple tablespoons of cacao in here. Where's my measuring spoon? That works. Half tablespoon. So it really doesn't matter how much you put in there, right? It's just to get it covered with that cacao. And then you can, when you take it out, you can just run it through a little sifter, just toss them in there, let the excess come out. This one, I wouldn't go too crazy on, I'd go more for taste. So again, I'm just gonna do, that was a lot, but it's fine. It's all just kind of coats it. And the pecans by themselves are incredible. And then this is just making like a little sweet chocolate pecan thing, which is an awesome snack. So how much sugar is in this? 0. And then you have just a little bit of like, what, a gram of carbohydrates just from the raw chocolate. And that's about it. So there you go. These are nice and warm. And I would just put them in like little quarter cup baggies. So let's try these out here. Okay, give this a try.
Yeah, those are good.
Chocolatey.
Yeah.
Really chocolatey.
So this actually reminds me, I spend a good chunk of change on yummy, sugar-free, no sugar added, kind of like dessert options. So like a chocolate covered almond or something like that. And that is way better than my $6 little bag of,
Yeah, and so that's a little heavy on the powder, but I think once you sift it down a little bit, right, shake it off, and then it's just gonna be like perfect. And you could also create something a little more robust with some like coconut oil. You can melt a little bit of coconut oil in a saucepan and put some chocolate into that, and then mix those in there, and then it'll be a little more solidified chocolate experience. So probably a little more messy too, but then you just put it on like a little sheet, right? Some parchment paper on a sheet, throw it in the freezer. All that coconut oil and chocolate will solidify around it. And then you just have like a whole nother amazing dessert option. So great for a little snack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, so I upgraded my salad here. So I add the spinach, and then we did strawberries, blueberries, full of antioxidants, vitamin C. We have our chicken here. The way I like to do my chicken is just put it in the Instant Pot, cook it up, and then I actually take a blender, well, not a blender, like a handheld mixer, and I mix it, and that shreds the chicken. So you get like the really fine shredded chicken, and you can use that in so many different things. So that's a little tip or trick. And then I have those pecans, again, probably 1/4 a cup that I would add on here. Great crunch. You don't even need croutons because you have pecans. And then we're gonna add, this is a dressing that I like. So organic honey, poppy seed, Tessemae's dressing. So no unhealthy fats, no crazy added sugar. There is some, I guess this does have a little added sugar, but it's honey. Okay, so more natural. So a little drizzle of this on top, a really, really yummy summer salad, tons of flavor, lots of color, and really quite simple to put together. So upgrading your salad with some berries, those pecans, and then just a yummy dressing that you don't have to feel bad about.
Good. And one thought on the dressings is some of this stuff can be a little more spendy, right? You go to Pilgrim's, great prices on meat, but let's say, you know, you're buying something like this, like, okay, maybe it's $1 more, but I think when you get good quality and just a meal like that, I don't think you have to drown it in it either. So just a little drizzle adds enough flavor, and I think that's gonna be better for your results too, whatever your goals are, dropping body fat or whatever. So I think it's worth just paying a little extra just to have the high quality, and you'll taste it in there too. So should I go dessert?
Yeah, let's go back to dessert.
So I get to do all the fun stuff. So just because I like desserts, but I have to keep it healthy. So this is chocolate ice cream, and I've been working on this for, I don't know, a couple years here, trying to perfect this. So I've gone through seasons really doing like lower carbohydrates, higher fats for fuel. And again, I've shared this before, a lot of it's just to keep my levels of inflammation down in my body. You know, when I get those base levels of carbohydrates up, just my base level of inflammation starts increasing, and bulging discs in the back, torn labrum, all that stuff starts to talk to me. So I'm highly motivated just to do that. Carbohydrates are fine, carbohydrates are good, right? Quinoa, black beans, rice, all that kind of stuff is fine. Generally, I think as trainers, we steer people away from the wheat, you know, just because it is a higher inflammatory carbohydrate, and usually it's refined too, like the pasta, the bread, so really void of nutrients. So my dessert, this chocolate ice cream, if you look way back in time when they made ice cream, they would use eggs in their ice cream, And then salmonella broke out, and so people kind of went away from that. But you can still have a lot of high quality ice creams with eggs. So the key with eggs is don't get like the discounted Walmart special where a bunch of chickens, thousands of chickens are all in one place. That's where you get higher diseases and problems like that. So up here in North Idaho, we have a lot more farm fresh eggs to choose from. And even at Costco sometimes. So I was like really careful, but then I'll just go like get these omega-3 free range eggs. So I would definitely say go farm fresh. And then the salmonella, if there is any of that stuff, it's never been found like in little farms and stuff like that. It just doesn't happen. But it would be on the outer part of the shell. So you can wash the outer part of the shell and then you're fine. It's not gonna be in it. So what I do is I'll take 2 eggs, 1, 2, and I have my little blender here. This is a Blendtec blender. You can also use like a Vitamix, and you have something pretty powerful too, right?
Yeah, the Pampered Chef.
Pampered Chef.
Yeah.
Super blender. So something that's going to be able to handle ice without a lot of liquid. So I'm just going to take these guys, crack, drop it in there. See if I can do it one-handed. Crack. Usually I don't, just because I don't want shell or anything going in there. And sure enough, there it is. Little extra calcium too, if you get some in there. Okay, so I got 2 eggs, right? So the thing with eggs, I think in our culture these days, people are like, oh, that's gross. And we're not gonna do this Rocky style where we just drink it. But you look at a lot of recipes out there, there is some raw eggs used in them. What's that like dessert thing where...
No, that one.
Anyways, I'm thinking of the pie with vanilla.
Meringue?
Yeah, like a meringue or something. I think that's raw egg too. So anyways, nutrients, you're gonna have all the enzymes in here. People that are allergic to eggs can actually eat raw eggs in a recipe and it's totally fine because the enzymes and the proteins aren't denatured from the high heat. Anyways, you start with this and then check this out. This is really exciting. So most people have heard about collagen, the benefit of collagen, and everybody trying to eat more collagen. So for your skin, for your joints, tendons, ligaments, all of that, you want to get in some collagen into your diet somehow. So this is really exciting because it's chocolate. I've been eating the normal brand from Costco. Fantastic price on it, like really, really good price on it compared to just your normal store. So I tried the chocolate one and
This is gonna be the regular one, so.
and she probably paid the same amount that I paid for this at some other store. So Costco's the bomb in this one. So just got this and it totally upgraded the flavor of my ice cream. So I'm gonna go 2 scoops, which is 20 grams of protein. 1, 2. And focusing on quality, what's nice is all that's in here is cacao and stevia. That's it. So it keeps it really simple. And then I might add in a little cinnamon if I wanted to. But then texture-wise, I'm gonna add in half an avocado. So this is gonna increase the nutrients again. So I get my half avocado. A lot of cutting injuries with avocado, so focus when you're doing this. Do you have like a little spoon?
Yes.
Okay, yummy avocado. Sometimes they're hard to find, so if you don't have avocado and you're going for these fats in this dessert instead of the sugar and the carbohydrates, you could transition to like whole cream, or even better yet, like Kerrygold butter. So this stuff here, Kerrygold butter, we've talked about this in the past. So when you get into animal fats, it's all about what the animal eats, and then all of that is passed on to you, right? So up in the region of Kerry in Ireland, these cows are happy cows. They're eating the grass up there. Tons of beta carotene in the fats, in the cream, and the butter. A lot of anti-inflammatory properties also. So really good. I would take like 1 or 2 tablespoons, toss it into here. And again, it's just gonna make it so much richer, so much creamier, super good. If I have the avocado, I don't really need to, it'd just be bonus. But at the end of the day, you're like, hey, I want this dessert, and it's packed with calories, but maybe I'm low on my calories, did a super hard workout, I need another 300, 400 calories, so I'm gonna concoct this. And if you have it later in the day, it's actually a lot better than carbohydrates. If you're doing carbs before bed, that's what messes up your serotonin levels and causes a lot of problems. So half an avocado, 2 scoops of the collagen chocolate protein powder, 2 eggs, and ice.
We do have a question here. They say, can you do any other, so you can go fill up the ice. There's just an ice. Yeah. Can you do any other flavors besides chocolate? So I think you could put in I like the Orgain protein powder. It's just a vegan protein powder and it's vanilla. You could do that. It probably still tastes really good. Any other flavors, Brian? Okay,
Yeah.
Brian's gonna come back and go through, even adding, like if you did that vanilla, but then you added some berries to it, or even frozen banana or frozen mango, things like that, adding that, you could do lots of different variety there, so.
Yeah, and I think when you get down to it, you don't have to freak out about carbohydrates, right? So I wouldn't go heavy at nighttime. High carbs and high fats is a bad combination. High fat, protein, vegetables, fantastic. If you're going carbohydrates like quinoa, etc., having proteins, lean proteins and vegetables is great, but just going high fat, high carb, we see what the American diet does to us. So another option is just these little, it's the same brand, Sweet Leaf for the stevia. So they have different flavors. You could just a little squirt of that. I got vanilla, I got caramel, and yeah, it's not bad. It's a good thing. It's not artificial either. So it works for you if you need something a little more exciting. And I'll throw in some strawberries, and then it's just like chocolate covered strawberry ice cream. It's good. So this is what I got. I got the ice in there, the 2 scoops of cacao, the couple eggs, the half an avocado, super powerful Blendtec blender. All right, can I blend this up?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so if it's in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m. in the morning and I need a dessert, I'm gonna go to another room because I'm gonna wake up the whole household because this is so loud. So cover your ears here. Yeah, definitely a conversation stopper. But now we have ice cream.
All right,
You got it?
wow, yeah.
It's legit. It's really
Super
legit.
good texture too. Yeah,
Okay, we try that.
I'm gonna try it, yeah.
She's never tried it, so
I have not, yeah.
most of my kids do not trust anything I make, like dessert-wise, because they know I'm just a
Okay.
health nut. So,
It's good.
are you lying?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, I'd eat it, yeah.
Okay.
With some pecans on top.
Yeah, I was thinking just and you can play around with it. What are
Did
your
you add
thoughts?
cinnamon?
No, I didn't
No,
add any
okay.
cinnamon. Do you
No.
think that would help?
I think that'd be really good.
Yeah,
in
I
there.
always add
Yeah.
cinnamon to it. Cinnamon's cool too, just because it levels out blood sugar with the high chromium in it too. So, anyways, just like it's really good dessert. And again, we gave you all those different options to spruce it up. So, okay, so that's your dessert.
Yes.
What are we doing next?
You've had a snack dessert option with the pecans, so snack or dessert, and then your ice cream, which is great. Thanks, Brian, for that. I showed you how to upgrade your salad. We're gonna skip back to breakfast. With your coffee and everything, if you are a coffee drinker, some things that you can add to your coffee to upgrade it a little bit would be that collagen powder. You could actually probably even do the chocolate one too, so chocolate or regular. Like this morning I put the collagen in my coffee. I can't taste the difference at all. You could also add some coconut oil to it. And then I want to show you one of the creamers that I like that's non-dairy, and it's really good, adds that creaminess. So let me grab that real quick. There's lots of ones out there, but this one I've found to be really good, the So Delicious brand. So I'm just adding those things. Usually it's cinnamon for me, some collagen, and then the creamer. Brian might have some ideas on this. So people that are maybe doing the intermittent fasting, especially women who don't want to mess up their hormones, things like that, and they are coffee drinkers, talk about how adding that fat, like the coconut oil, into the coffee, how that can help level out hormones, still keep you in a fasting state, but not mess things up.
Yeah, I think she just explained it right there. So when you're trying to do an intermittent fasting, it's a lot of people are, they'll just skip breakfast, and they're finding a lot of internal health benefits like the inflammation, increase of natural enzymes in the pain, detoxification, and I can go on and on. Look up autophagy, autophagy, AUTOPHAGY. Do a little research on that. It's just something that won a Nobel Prize like 3 years ago just for the discovery of it. Just a big anti-cancer, anti-everything bad in your body response to fasting. So, but you got to think about your hormones. So when you're in that deprived state, growth hormone goes up, testosterone goes up, fat burning goes up. But you still have to, when you eat, get in your macros, right? So it's like, okay, my eating window is noon to 8, whatever it is. I still need to get my protein, my carbs, my fats. And what Christy was alluding to was the fats are really critical for the hormones, especially with females. So you want to get in a good amount of those fats, but make sure you also have the saturated fat. So you have two options here, two main options, but you have coconut oil. I always try to get cold pressed, extra virgin, all that stuff with oils. So that's a vegetarian form of saturated fat. And then you have Kerrygold butter. Back to this again. This is a really good option for animal saturated fat. So if you've heard of bulletproof coffee, it was kind of a fad a few years ago. But the purpose was to get those fats and you stay in a fast. Fat has no insulin response, and so you stay in that fast. So even the collagen would take you out of a fast. It's beneficial, so it's really only if you're doing that intermittent fast. If you're doing the intermittent fast. So you could do up to like 2 tablespoons of this in your coffee, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. That would be like the max. I usually tell people, hey, try one of each, maybe a little extra, put it in your coffee, and then you need like a little blender in there in your coffee. If you don't blend it up either in a blender or something like this, a little handheld, it's oil on top of the coffee, and then it's great chapstick, and then that's about it. But it's not going to be the same experience. So with it in the coffee, then it becomes more like a latte. And a lot of people are like skeptical at first, but then it's like, wow, this is like a really yummy, decadent latte. So
yeah, and definitely wanting to cut out the sugar and the junk in the coffee too. So using these sweet drops, liquid stevia, using the creamer, that type of stuff, adding in the coconut oil actually adds quite a bit of flavor and deliciousness to it as well, and the fat. So fat is great flavor. Let's go to breakfast. A lot of times we just default towards eggs or oatmeal or things like that, but it really is important to get vegetables in our breakfast as well. So we're going to talk about how to upgrade your eggs. Really simple. I think a lot of people know that this is out there, but they just don't take the time to do it or just need to be inspired. So we call them like egg bites, crustless quiche, any of those types of terms. You can either put these in a muffin tins, or I like to just do it in a pan like so. I did this earlier today, okay? Because it's easier to cut up, and then I don't have to dig all the egg out of the muffin tin and everything. So I just did a small one this morning, but this would be about 4 servings, so I just cut it in fourths. Okay, and then do the toppings with that. But you can see here, so that one's already made, but if I'm making it, I'll do about 8 eggs in here. You could add like a chicken sausage, a chorizo sausage. I actually had some leftover ham from Easter in the freezer, and I was like, hey, let's use that. So I have my meat, okay, and you don't even have to do meat in this. Obviously, eggs, good protein. This is gonna add a little bit extra. So put my meat in there, and then vegetables here. So I have some cut up peppers, some cut up spinach, my zucchinis here that I would need to cut up. So just doing all of that. Now, if you have things that are a little bit harder, like sometimes people like to even put sweet potato in here, you could definitely go to the oven, the stove, saute those a little bit, and especially if you're doing raw meat too, make sure that you're browning that before you put them, in your egg dish. So you're mixing this all up, and then there's lots of recipes out there. But as far as measurements for salt and pepper, here, Brian got me my zucchini. Thank you, zucchini in there. So we have salt and pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and then a 4th teaspoon of pepper. So I just already measured that out, adding that in. And then you're just mixing that all up and putting it in your dish, probably again, a little bit bigger than that, popping it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. I always poke it with a fork, make sure it's not runny. But then you just take that out, and then you have your breakfast for a couple of days. It stays in the fridge real well. And then if you needed a little extra, adding avocado on top would be delicious. So cutting that up, adding that on top of your egg. Salsa, Brian found this great stuff from Pilgrims, and this Mama Cultured Mama is a local gal that does a lot of different cultured products. So this is gonna have probiotics in it, so great for our gut health, all right? So salsa, avocado, even if you make your own pico, your own guacamole, adding that to it. Say you need to add a little bit more starch in there, some carbohydrate, you could add some black beans on top of there as well. With a canned black bean, I'd recommend dumping it in the strainer, rinsing it off, okay, and then adding that on. So lots of different variety there, and this really isn't gonna take you a ton of time in the morning when they're already made. You're just gonna heat that up and then add on your toppings and go. So this also, sometimes I'll have it pre-made and I'm thinking, I'll eat it for breakfast, but then dinner rolls around and I don't have meat defrosted, I'm starving, I can't think, and this is a great dinner option as well, so.
Yeah, that looks awesome. Yeah, I think an egg bake is just a really simple way to get some good protein, some good fats for yourself and then for your family too. So a lot of kids are going to school just off of high carbohydrates. That's kind of how we grew up with cereal and sugar and bagels. And what happens is it's cool energy-wise for about a half hour, and then after that, you tank. And so if you want your kids just having focus in school and doing a lot better, I think just getting some good fats, protein, something that's more satiating, that's gonna last a lot longer. And I like the addition of veggies too. So anytime you add vegetables to any dish, it's gonna stay in your gut a lot longer, your stomach a lot longer, and then it's gonna slow down everything. So you have sustained nutrition coming into your body, sustained energy. And if there is carbohydrates in that meal, the insulin level's like this instead of just a big spike. And that's what we don't want. That's where you see a lot of damage in the body, and just those big ups and downs with the insulin. So, just a little thought on diabetes. I'm pretty anti-sugar in the sense of processed sugar, refined sugar. A little bit's fine here and there. If it's your birthday, go have 2 chocolate donuts. But, the other days you just want to keep that to a minimum. A little bit of honey, a little bit of maple syrup, whatever. It's no big deal. But, you just look at diabetics, it's like, well, I can eat like this, and then I'll just take more insulin, because all my cells are insulin resistant. So at that time you just see more and more damage. So the better way is to, hey, I'm going to take out some of those carbs, start moving a little more towards fat for fuel, let my cells regain their insulin sensitivity back. So then when I bring in carbs down the road, oh, my cells can get it in there and I don't need the extra insulin shot anymore. And my body can handle it just fine. So that's just kind of coming back from diabetes. You know, we work with people all the time. They come in and the doctor's like, well, it's hopeless. But we're just like, hey, give us a couple weeks here and we'll start turning things around. And it's amazing just how much better they feel. And then you just save a lot of your health. So you got some more stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, Brian can start prepping some of the meat
Okay,
and
yeah.
stuff. And I'm gonna go over, we're gonna do some kale chips and sweet potato fries here. So again, just really yummy stuff, kid friendly as well. And so my one of my clients actually told me about this kale chip recipe, and it's not too spicy. It sounds a little spicy, but it's chili and garlic kale chips. All right. So when you're doing kale, all right, I already did. Just a second.
Sorry, I need a cutting board for the meat. I don't think she wants me to cut it on her table.
Yeah. So when you're doing kale, okay, a trick is take that stem, all right, and you're just gonna hold on to it, hopefully I don't mess up, and just pull really hard, okay? And you have your leafy part, okay, that you're putting on to, in this case, it's parchment paper. So we put down our parchment paper, we have our kale here, and then you're gonna just take, it's olive oil, and I'll go ahead, I'll make sure to post this recipe. It's olive oil, and then you're doing chili powder, garlic powder, and salt, okay? So I have this little paintbrush, I call, in my olive oil. So you're just painting that kale with the olive oil. I know you can't see this. You can imagine, okay? Painting that on. And this is too a fun thing that kids could get involved with as well. So if my 4-year-old was here, he'd be the one painting on the olive oil onto the kale chips. All right. Brian was telling me about how he got his kids involved in cooking at a young age. I thought that was really cool, super important as well. Cohen, my little one's in the kitchen helping me a lot. It's usually just painting or stirring things. Brian can tell you about how they had little chopped competitions at their house.
Yeah, so I'm making some tri-tip over here. Again, shout out to Pilgrims. Just looking at their prices last night, I'm like, wow, I go to different stores, pay the same price, but I know that the cows are eating good stuff. Any of the fat is going to be a much higher quality and better for you. So this tri-tip is cool because it is a good amount of fat. It's just a more tender meat. Anyways, I was talking to Noah, my youngest, last night. He's 17 years old. And when we were younger, Jacob, he's 2 years older, we would play Chopped. And so I'd give him 3 ingredients, open up the fridge and be like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, we got an hour, we need an hors d'oeuvre, we need a main dish, and we need a dessert. And you have to integrate these ingredients into some form. You can use anything else in the house and in the kitchen. And presentation counted too. So it was just really good. At a young age, we're doing this, having fun. And I think that's the key, is just like growing up, okay, now they have the skills of learning all these different things, how to measure, how to do this stuff. And it's just a good time. Go ahead.
Oh, well anyways, yeah, so getting kids involved. So here we sprinkled, here, I'll lift this up. We painted the kale chips, and then I sprinkled on our seasoning mix. So again, this is gonna be chili powder, garlic powder, and salt, all right? And tonight too, we were doing the kale chips, but we also want to do a sweet potato fry, and I thought, you know what, this seasoning is probably gonna be really good for those as well. So I diced up some sweet potatoes here, okay, added some olive oil in there, so mixing that up, and then I'm just gonna sprinkle on that mixture as well, okay? I'm gonna put these sweet potato fries in the air fryer. I think that's gonna allow them to crisp up the best, but you could always do this in the oven as well, okay? So I'm gonna be getting the kale chips in the oven and the sweet potato fries in the air fryer. But before we put the kale chips in, there's one last ingredient that's just gonna add a little extra crunch, and that's gonna be sesame seeds, okay? So sprinkling on those sesame seeds is really pretty too, as well. You could impress some people. So there they are. They're going in the oven. It's at 300 degrees. We're gonna go for 10 minutes and then we're gonna flip them. And then with these sweet potato fries, again, seasoning on that. The air fryer that I have is a Pampered Chef one. It has these little trays, which is kind of nice. So a lot of them do have a basket, but you would just put those on there. Woo! So putting your sweet potato fries on there. You can show them here if you want. So, this is just gonna go right here in the air fryer and then setting that for about 20 minutes on 400. And after about 10 minutes, we'll kind of toss them around a little bit too. So both of those are going for 10 minutes. And then Brian got caught on the cupboard. And we're gonna go into our dinner here.
Okay, so while that's cooking, I usually don't take the time to do all the sweet potato chips and the kale chips. I just hear about them from clients and they're always like raving about them. But now I'm seeing firsthand, it's like, okay, it's not that hard.
No.
Yeah. Throw them on a little pan, brush some oil on them, little salt, little sesame seeds, throw them in the oven, presto. So, and it's just really good nutrition, just packed nutrition. So going into steak, I gotta give a shout out to this tool. This is my favorite tool of the year for sure. So this is a meat tenderizer. It's got like 37 little spikes in there and it'll flatten the meat too, so it just cooks a little more evenly. So with a tri-tip, ribeye, something like that, where it's got a little more fat in it, it'll be more tender, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you get like a sirloin or something that's a little more dense, just like pure protein, good stuff, this is a dream. So even if you're not the best cook and you cook your steak and it comes out tough, you can just blast this. See if I can show you here. Hopefully the phone doesn't fall off here. Yeah, so I just go through, right? Go through that. Again, a tri-tip, I don't need to annihilate it too much, but a sirloin, I'd probably go through both sides a couple times. And then I was talking to Noah last night. So he's had the privilege of working at Satay when he was 15 years old, working out in back with the chefs, Tito's and just different places. But he just picked up on some great cooking techniques. And again, since he's been cooking since he was a little kid, he's passionate about it. So I was talking to him about this tri-tip, and he said dill and salt is all you need for a steak. And I trust this kid. He makes amazing meals. Not kid, young man now. He makes amazing meals during every night. It's just incredible what he does. So, so he made some last night. And this is gourmet. I'm not going to do this tonight, but what he did was he put it in a pan, sauteed it up, you know, just seared the outsides of it, and then took a little white wine in there and a little chicken broth, and those two ingredients, and he said he deglazed it. That's just pretty fancy terminology there. Just like scraped everything up, threw in some morel mushrooms, some little onions. So he just basically made a sauce and just kind of simmered that down, and that was it. And then just kind of poured that over the steak when it was done. Voila, it's just really a little bit of this, right, goes a long way, of the white wine, but it definitely adds a unique flavor, and it's something you're like a gourmet chef. What I do is I get a good piece of meat like this. I'm usually salt, fresh ground black pepper, that's it, maybe a little butter on top. But today we're gonna do with this dill because he says it's great and all of his stuff is good. So I'm gonna put a little dill on this guy here. Just sprinkle that over the top. And, oh, this smells really good too. This is like real fresh dill. And then, where's that salt? So we got our pink Himalayan salt full of trace minerals. And I think the only time you have an issue with high sodium, high salt, is when you're doing a really high carbohydrate eating plan, really high carbohydrate diet. The two of those together, yeah, then it's probably a little too much. So if you're going a little more lower carbohydrate, higher fats, or fasting, your body does dump a lot of water weight. So the salt actually helps you retain a little bit of water, so you're not fluctuating and on this roller coaster when you eat and not eat, and when you bring in carbs and don't bring in carbs. So it just brings in this equilibrium. So a little bit of salt, especially with those trace minerals, is great. So I've got this piece of meat, and I think we're going George Foreman tonight.
Yeah.
I usually just do the barbecue in the backyard, but Christy's got the George Foreman, so it keeps us in the kitchen. Is it ready?
So it is ready. So it's
Okay.
on 400, which they recommend for steaks, and it's only gonna cook for probably like about 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, here we go.
Ready, set, go. All right.
So I'm in conflict with the George Foreman because, again, you get a good quality cut of meat, and if you are trying to go a little more for the fats, maybe trying to get some of those better saturated fats for the hormones and energy, I don't like it all draining out, but I think there's plenty in that meat either way. So, and sometimes you're on an eating plan where, no, this is a higher carbohydrate meal, so I don't want all the fat, I want a leaner meat. So George is cool, he's a great guy, and he made a great product. Good for traveling too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, super easy. When I'm doing meal prep, easy to make up some burgers on that, some chicken tenders, lots of really quick, easy things on there. With our steak tonight, Brian was gonna go over also some asparagus, just a little tip and trick that he likes. Usually I'm just using like olive oil, maybe a little bit of butter, and then I'll do a garlic powder, some salt. He likes to add a little squeeze of lemon in there and just infuse, put the top on and just infuse all that flavor. So
Yeah, this is my wife's thing, Teresa. She just like, this is her favorite. So she gets really mad at me if I overcook the asparagus too, so you gotta be careful. But just kind of that al dente, bright green, fresh. Some people like it a little more squishy. So at the end of it, yeah, I'll just chop this up in half, squeeze like half a lemon, put that lid down and just have, it's like a pressure cooker, just gets all that lemon into there.
do you do olive oil or go ahead?
Yeah, so with oils, cooking oils, you got a couple options. You got olive oil, that's kind of a classic. And Christy did a great job. Extra virgin, Italy, they do it good over there. We use
Do avocado oil.
Yeah, I'll use avocado oil usually if I'm doing some higher heat stuff. It's got a 500-degree smoke point. Olive oil is great, it's just a little lower. So I'm usually doing more like salads and things like that with the olive oil. So this one I'll just throw on. In there, is it on?
It's now.
Now it's on. Yeah, it's just a little bit. And you don't really need a lot of the oil on that. A lot of times what I'll do with the asparagus, I'll put it like in a little baggie and, oh look, I got asparagus in a baggie. Okay, so this is chopped up asparagus. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll put maybe a little oil in here. So I'll do this. So just a little oil in there. And I'm kind of not a big fan of using plastic for anything, but so I could put this like in a little, Pyrex container or something and just mix that around. And then I'll put salt, maybe some garlic salt in there. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
If I can find my salt. Do you have garlic salt?
I have garlic powder.
Yeah, garlic powder, that works. Yeah, throw some salt in there, some pepper.
So yeah, usually salt, garlic powder, pepper.
Yeah, then you can just shake it up in there.
Perfect. Let's put that in here. Just add it all.
We'll just add it all there.
Add it all in there.
So we got the really yummy asparagus and the medium asparagus. Yeah, so we'll let that cook. I just throw the lid on it And you can also do this on the barbecue if you're out there using your steaks. Just throw those on the barbecue, and then when you're done, I'll just throw it in the skillet. Put that lemon in there. Done. And vegetables are a good way to get this in. A lot of people ask me like, okay, great, how do I get the butter in? So vegetables is easy. Your steamed broccoli, asparagus. Meat is another option. If you ever go to a lot of the steakhouses, Outback or Texas Roadhouse, it's really good meat because there's butter in it. So just do the same thing. You can just melt a little tablespoon of it. We'll chop up our meat and then maybe throw in a tablespoon on this, just in like a little saucepan, melt it down a little bit, just drizzle that on top, and it's just decadent, good, yummy. Okay, so that's the tri-tip. 4 minutes, even has the grill lines.
All right, I know that's not a steak knife, but it's gonna work well.
And then usually I'll let it sit for about 5 minutes. And that just allows that steak just to kind of absorb all those juices back into the meat of it, back into the main part of it. So, but do you want to try it now?
Sure, let's do
okay.
it. Yeah.
And I think another tip for tenderness, if you can see like the grains of the meat, kind of where the fibers are, if you cut a cross grain, it's going to be way more tender. If you cut it lengthwise with the grain of it, it's a little tougher.
And actually, while you are cutting that, I know we're kind of running a little short on time. I do want to tell you about our last upgrade, which is going to be a mashed potato, but adding cauliflower rice to that as well. So what I do is my potatoes I'm usually doing in the Instant Pot, okay? So red potatoes, golden potatoes, russet potatoes, whatever it is, putting that in. For this recipe, it's chicken broth, some butter or ghee if you're dairy free, and then you can actually put everything in here. So your potatoes, your chicken broth, and then you can either do just cauliflower, just like a head of cauliflower and put that in, or if you have the cauliflower rice, go ahead and put that in as well. And so then you're just cooking that in the Instant Pot, all those ingredients. And then once that is done and comes out, which we're not gonna have enough time tonight, unfortunately, you're adding in a little bit of almond milk, a little bit of butter, blending that with a handheld blender, or mashing it up with a potato masher. And honestly, I don't think many people are gonna be able to tell the difference between just a regular mashed potato and then adding in that cauliflower rice and doing that as well. Some people prefer just to do a cauliflower rice mash, or cauliflower rice mashed potato. It's not really mashed potatoes, but you know. So either way, but adding in those vegetables, good texture, good flavor. So.
Yeah, and exactly. If I have a plate full of mashed cauliflower, then I'm going to call it cauliflower. I'm not going to try to fool people. But the mixture, yeah, I think you could fool some people. So here's another way to get some probiotics in, just to give your gut some support. This is a sauerkraut. A lot of sauerkraut is just vinegar, some other ingredients. It's not real sauerkraut. So the probiotics aren't there. So you have to check the label and just make sure there's not a bunch of weird stuff. So the ingredients on this Bubbies is cabbage, water, and salt. That's it. That's all you need. And so this is good to go with steak. And such a taste difference
so
too.
Good.
Yeah, I could literally just eat this out of the jar. So yeah, a little bit of that with your steak is cool. And then
I'm gonna add our lemon to the asparagus over here. Just squeezing that in there. But yeah, I think they can see probably, yeah. So just squeezing that in there, and I usually just let it sit in there with it, okay? And we'll just finish that off. So that should be done in just a minute.
hey, will you try this steak?
Yes.
See if it turned out okay.
Okay. The perks of my job, right? Yeah.
It's all right?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
So tender, good flavor. Yeah, the dill, it's good.
Yeah, and you can have like little cheat things too. So you do the dill, the salt, that's a unique thing to do. You can get a steak blend. I just always look at the ingredients. Is there like hidden weird stuff like maltodextrins, all that? This is just an organic, good one. All sorts of different. Mrs. Dash has just a plethora of different spice options that are salt-free too if you want that. Or you can get that and then just add a higher quality pink Himalayan salt to your meal. Is a good option. So
shoot us some questions, guys. Do you guys have any questions about your nutrition? I know Kristen had messaged us, and she has kind of a crazy schedule working in healthcare, and she's like, I'm up at 4 a.m. When should I eat? Like, when should I start eating? And, you know, that type of thing. So, as I'm plating this, Brian, if you have any ideas on that. But in my mind, it's like, you know, your day is 4 a.m. Well, when does it stop, you know? And so just kind of breaking it down kind of as a normal day from your wake up to your go to sleep.
yeah, I think the big thing is trying to get little blocks of time where your body can really rest and deal with all the internal things it's got to deal with. Healing an injury, dealing with just different stuff in the air, weird things that we get through our food, whatever. Our bodies are always detoxing, and if we're constantly eating, it just doesn't get that chance. So rest and recuperation is really critical. So I always try to get like a 12-hour block of time from the last time I ate to the first time I eat. So yeah, you got a changing schedule. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Kind of look at the law of averages for your week, and if you stick to that, you will get good results. I brought a whole bunch of stuff, but this is another thing too. Greens, not a lot of us have the time to get all the vegetables in. Sometimes we miss it. We've given you guys some great options today. But I was thinking with this this little thing of ice cream here, it's pretty flavorful. I think you could sneak in, I'd probably start with like a half a scoop. Say you're making this for your kids. I think you could easily sneak in some good greens, some chlorella, wheatgrass, barley grass. Again, I always try to go organic with that. Those are just powerhouses of electrolytes and minerals and vitamins that you can sneak into your kids' meals. So yeah, they think they're getting dessert, but really there's like no sugar and it's just power packed. So that looks really good.
Yeah. So I just want to show you our little upgraded meal here. We didn't have the cauliflower mashed potatoes, but we do have our sweet potato fries right here. Go ahead and taste one of those. Tell me how the seasoning is. Okay. It's probably really hot. Yeah, it's hot. But you have your asparagus, so your vegetables, your sweet potato, your starch, your meat, your protein there, and then the great probiotics from that sauerkraut. And I know to some of you that doesn't look amazing, but I think Brian and I are drooling over here.
Yeah, I don't eat these air dryer things. We just got one ourselves at our house, and my wife loves it. My kids starting to use it.
The air fryer, not air dryer.
Air fryer, thank you. So that is incredible. That was super simple. She just chop, seasoning, threw it in there. Yeah, that is awesome. That's so good.
Yeah, you could also make, you know, like the fry sauce. I love it. You can also make that really healthful too. An avocado-based mayo, a no sugar added ketchup. I can grab these too and just show you. Maybe some dill pickle relish. That's not sweetened, so not the sweet pickle, but the dill pickle relish. Some pepper, just mixing that up, garlic powder in there, and just making your own fry sauce, dipping that in with these sweet potato fries. Really good, and yeah.
Yes, you can't go wrong when you're eating whole foods. You know, really it all comes back to the amount of sugar you're getting in, right? You don't have to go extreme, no carbohydrate to get amazing results. I always tell people just, hey, kind of compartmentalize it to 1 or 2 meals where you're getting more of your bigger starchy meals like the sweet potatoes, the quinoa, the potatoes, all that. And then your other meals, you have the vegetables. And if a little bit of carbs are getting in there, it's totally fine. You know, you're going to get amazing health with blueberries and strawberries. Those aren't going to hurt you at all. So, I don't know, do we have anything else? Or kale chips,
Kale chips are out, so you
Awesome.
can see these crisp up here. Okay, so nice and crispy. Okay, they're just going to kind of,
Can I try
you
one?
can see, yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, normally I hate kale, but
We'll see. Yeah. Different. What do you think?
yeah, it's good. The flavor's good. Just a hint of kale, but it's still overall good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's fine.
So I think the baking of it too kind of takes away that roughness, makes it nice and crispy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if anybody has any other questions on here. I don't know if any came through. Let us know if you have any questions. All right.
Yeah, and I think it'd be fun in the future too. If you guys have specific meals you want to see produced, I think we could do this down the road too. Throw out some different stuff. It's just really helpful just to see how to make this stuff. You read a recipe and it just can be overwhelming, but once you see it, it's like, oh, that's like 4 easy steps and voila, it's just an easy, good meal. So yeah, feel free just to communicate with us at the clubs or here online. And again, this is Christy Gabbert, registered dietitian for Peak. She does most of her training out at Coeur d'Alene, and she does meal plans too. So if you guys just need her to sit down with you and really go through just a specific eating plan, she doesn't do any cookie cutter stuff, but she'll look at your whole life and just create something that's practical, doable, and healthy, and it'll help you get great results. So contact her.
All right, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Hopefully you got inspired to upgrade your nutrition, just adding in those extra little things to make healthy eating fun, delicious, and get your nutrition in there. So, all right, thanks for joining us.